Hello, my name is Joshua Askew, and like many of you watching this, I'm a City of Jacksonville employee. The difference between you and I is I hold an active private investigator's license with the state of Florida. I've been in the investigative field since 1998. The reason I'm making this video is to explain to you the truth behind the City of Jacksonville and their failed flexible spending account fund. While many of you are just now hearing about this, I started looking into this in my own time when my benefit was denied in early May. The first return check was dated May 14, 2012, and it was noted on the check the return reason was a frozen and blocked bank account. I was also charged a processing fee for their bad check. With this in mind, I look back on the reason a bank account would be frozen, and during my investigative experience, there were three reasons a bank account would be frozen. One would be the feds were involved and froze the account. Two is that the bank account would have had a judgment and someone seized the money. And normally the bank account would not be frozen at that point. And then three would be a rules and regulations violation. In this case, a confidential informant was contacted, and it was confirmed that the bank account used by the City of Jacksonville and EBS Atlanta had in fact been frozen for violating the banking rules and regulations. Now, if that was not a big enough hit, the next one will really throw you for a loop. The next bit of information I found out was the bank account was not only depleted, but it was in the negative, meaning all of our contributed funds to our flexible spending account were gone. Even after the funds were depleted, employees still received checks written against a frozen and negative account, but were told, do not cash these checks. The reason they were told this is that each one of those checks, when written, were a criminal offense. And by attempting to cash them, provided the employee with proof of the offense and charges that could be filed against the city and or EBS Atlanta, as well as additional fees for returned checks. A visit to City Hall's Employee Benefits Office, room 150, recently had a sign posted regarding the flexible spending accounts that stated, in order to maintain your IRS status with your flexible spending account, you must continue to contribute every pay period. I myself, being in a car accident Easter Sunday, have not received a paycheck since April. I have to pay my flexible benefits out of my pocket. Money that's already been taxed, I'm paying into that's supposed to be a tax-free benefit. That doesn't work for me. I'm paying for a benefit that's not tax-free. That's not right, City of Jacksonville. At this point, who was controlling the funds? Where were the funds going to? Surely not the frozen account. No, because the account was frozen, meaning no deposits, no withdrawals, and yes, that is why the debit cards were not working. Not because of what the city said the system was down. No, the cards were not working because there was no money in the fund and the account was frozen. Well, of course, I had to find out who was in control of the funds, and it was the city's accountant, Tito Arcio. In fact, when I questioned him about the Flex account, he stated to me he was the one who would take the funds from the paychecks of employees and send the funds to EBS Atlanta. EBS Atlanta would then disperse checks to city employees. With EBS Atlanta located in Georgia, we now have funds crossing the state lines, and this becomes a federal case. As many of you know, the checks had the City of Jacksonville listed as the payer. However, those of you who received the letter on 6/13, which is dated 6/11, would read that the account is actually controlled by EBS Atlanta. And the truth is, the city is correct, the bank account is in EBS Atlanta's name. With that said, the City of Jacksonville is still very responsible for what happens with our money. Just because they decided to contract a third party to handle this benefit does not make them less responsible. In fact, the fact that the city did not catch this or did not see a problem before now shows the lack of responsibility. So to summarize what has occurred, the flexible spending account fund we have all been contributing to as city employees is frozen, shut down, the funds are gone, and the account is in the negative. A new account or separate account is being used for the funds we are currently still ordered to pay into, and this is confirmed by the city accountant in person. A certified fraud examiner accountant I have spoken to said that the statement the city made did not sound correct and that the benefit would remain for any amount already paid into, regardless of what was not paid into in the future. We have been unable to get reimbursed for our expenses that we have already incurred. Some of us have even received extra bank fees because of this. EBS Atlanta has issued a statement regarding check reissue guidelines and stated it had entered the second stage of the disaster recovery plan. At what point was the first stage, and why did we not receive this notice? How did the disaster occur in the first place? Where is the money from the fund, and how will the reissued checks be paid if the account is still in the negative? Are the funds that the city is demanding we still pay every 2 weeks going to pay for the bad checks that they are trying to reissue checks for? In closing, be sure to keep copies of all records, receipts, checks, etc., as the documentation is proof of the criminal acts that have occurred with our money and our fund. Please tag and share this video with all of your fellow co-workers, friends, media relations, and anyone else who needs to hear the facts. Thank you for taking time to hear the truth, the facts, and the real story behind the City of Jacksonville's flexible spending account disaster. I am Josh Askew, shining the light on the shadows of darkness. Thank you.